The Hare and the Tortoise, perhaps the most popular of Aesop's fables. A hare, one day, ridiculed the short feet and slow pace of the tortoise, who replied, laughing, "Though you be swift as the wind, I will beat you in a race." The hare, believing her assertion to be simply impossible, assented to the proposal, and they agreed that the fox should choose the course and fix the goal. On the day appointed for the race, the two started together. The tortoise never for a moment stopped, but went on with a slow but steady pace straight to the end of the course. The hare, lying down by the wayside, fell fast asleep. At last, waking up and moving as fast as he could, he saw the tortoise had reached the goal and was comfortably dozing after her fatigue. Slow but steady wins the race. Indeed, indeed. Okay, so let's go over this narrative. So a hare one day ridiculed the short feet and slow pace of the tortoise, who replied, laughing, "Though you be swift as the wind, I will beat you in a race." Okay, so he actually compliments him though. He's excuse me. The hare is ridiculing the slow feet and she'll place the tortoise. So the tortoise is actually the one speaking. So yeah, of course. Who replied? Yeah, the tortoise. Who replied, laughing, "Though you be swift as the wind." He's telling the hare that, I know you're fast. I know you run like crazy. I'll beat you in a race. And the hare, believing her assertion to be simply impossible, assented to the tortoise. I like this. I mean, I'm not really gonna get involved with the gender notions here for its sake. I'm just analyzing. I just analyze. I'm analyzing the text, and depending on the class, you know, depending on my thesis, depending on a lot of stuff. But it's interesting because um, the hare, uh, the tortoise is a female. So the hare, I don't know. I'm assuming that I mean, I don't know. We don't know yet, right? We're learning. As the reader, we're asking questions, right? And we're trying to clarify. So the reader's always trying to clarify, and that's why, as a writer, you want to read and proofread and so right now the question mark I'm asking, since I know, because it's kind of funny and interesting, is like, okay, so in this story, uh, the tortoise is a female, but we don't know if the hare is a male or not, unless I looked it up, and that's why hare gender. Let's look it up. Hare gender, is the hare a gender? I don't know. Let's see. Hare. So let's see the hare. There's a hare. I'm sure that there are groups of people. The risk with making a lot of these videos is, a lot of people must think I'm just such an idiot. Because there's got to be situations where, but I'm trying to show like that if you forget something or don't know something, just to go look it up and like sniff around and poke around, and you know you you want to you want to think about the venue in which that you're in. And so I don't definitely don't purport to know you know a lot. I know some, but when it comes to hair, like I'm not like an animal guy. I'm pretty urban, etc. So uh but there are probably people that think I'm just a total idiot, because my guess would be that hair is not gendered. It could be a boy or a girl, but and this is true because it's not saying that it's a specific gender, like a boy or a girl. It's not like the chicken and the rooster. So okay, so yeah, a hare is not gendered. Okay, but it's interesting. Okay, so believing her assertion, so she is the tortoise, and the hare could be two girls, or it could be the hare is a boy and the tortoise is the girl. But it's interesting if you're writing a story, you know, where you're talking about gender and then these details you might be able to argue, or be kind of interesting to discuss and to unpack, like you know um, you know just in terms of analysis. Okay, and they agreed that the fox should choose the course and fix the goal. On the day, okay, so So the fox, the third party, should choose the course and fix the goal. So the fox is like the intermediary here. It's like the referee, right? Go ahead, fox. You choose the goal. You choose the course. You fix the goal. On the day appointed for the race, the two started together. Now we go back to obviously the hare and the tortoise. The tortoise never for a moment stopped. So the tortoise just kept plugging away every moment, just plugging away, plugging away. But went on with a slow but steady pace straight to the end of the course. Um, the hare, lying down by the wayside, fell fast asleep. So, as we've seen in a lot of cartoons, since back in the probably back in the 50s, when but yeah, just a lot of cartoons. I remember like Bugs Bunny. I just remember a lot of cartoons, the classic cartoons. Like I'm talking about, I'm aging myself, Bugs Bunny, because I saw those. I think originally when they came out, when I was a kid, but even I don't know the newer ones. I'm sure there's there are more as well now that just constantly allude to this classic tale, classic short uh tale. Um, so laying down by the wayside, uh, fell fast asleep. Usually, what I remember from like the Bugs Bunny videos is, and I think it would be the most dramatic if you were to see it in like a movie, is that the the hare goes so fast that the hare probably runs down, gets a huge lead, and then takes a nap. As opposed to like, oh, I'm gonna win, I'm good, and just like takes a nap immediately and lets the tortoise head down. I don't know. I'm thinking about the dramatic aspect of it, and I think it could potentially work either way. Um, but I think if I had to pick, I think that the notion of the hare getting a huge lead and then taking a nap because the hare's so cocky and arrogant, um, that he thinks that he or she thinks that he or she could beat this tortoise. Yeah. So but this story, Aesop isn't the translation of Aesop isn't super clear here. It's saying the hare lying down by the wayside fell fast asleep. So we don't know um, if the hare is in the lead or not. But these are interesting things to think about. Um, at last, waking up and moving as fast as he could, he saw. Okay, here it is. He's been gendered. Um, he saw this. What's interesting? Yeah, the girl power folks are gonna love this story because it's like the hare is faster. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. Because you got the hare who's like been gendered to be a boy, and then the tortoise is a girl. And Aesop wrote this thousands of years ago. Like it's just interesting. These are interesting details. Um, people yeah. So um, and then once you learn a detail, you can see how am I going to include this? Am I going to omit this? So yeah, like when you're writing an essay or when you're communicating about it, these are details that may or may not be salient. They may or may not be crucial, like essential, depending on. It just depends on the venue. Depends on what you're writing about, what you want to shine the spotlight on, and that's why it's great, like being the writer, because you can essentially shine the spotlight on certain details that you feel like are sort of interesting and essential to your argument or to your analysis. Most analyses are subjective, meaning that you're trying to take a stance almost all the time, um, and especially in academic writing, but even I think in journalism, although largely journalists try to um, be objective, and I think some journalists and some companies are trying to be more objective, um, but I think the actual practice, we normally see a sort of a bend, um, and there it's usually a lot more subjective. But that's a totally separate discussion. But this is just interesting. So the hare is the boy, the tortoise is the girl. The hare runs really fast. The tortoise is takes consistency and just keeps plugging away a slow but steady pace. Never for a moment stopped. So at last, waking up and moving as fast as he could, he saw the tortoise had reached the goal and was comfortably dozing after her fatigue. So now the tortoise So the hare wakes up, the tortoise reached the goal, and now the the tortoise is taking a nap because now the tortoise is tired because obviously the tortoise has been plugging away and not even pausing at all. But the tortoise won, and we don't know where the fox is. The fox, I don't know if the fox was there and it was just but so just in terms of like laying out the details of what's going on, was comfortably dozing. So um, dozing to me, like the phrase dozing off, I would think means like the person or the animal isn't asleep yet, but they're like dozing, or they're falling asleep but trying to stay up, but they're falling asleep but trying to stay up. I would look for the word snoozing. If somebody was comfortably snoozing or sleeping or resting, uh, then that would mean that the tortoise was already fast asleep. Like, but the fact that it's the word was dozing, because but also comfortably dozing. Now I'm starting to think that dozing means actually sleeping, like fast asleep. Because if you're comfortable, if you're dozing off, like you're not necessarily quote unquote comfortable because you're dozing off, then you wake up, then you doze off, then you wake up. It's kind of like at the library. Like one time at the library, I got like they woke me up. The lady woke me up. She goes, "You can't sleep here," and I don't know why, but there's certain libraries you can sleep at, certain libraries you can't. But um, I was a little irked, but I didn't mean to sleep there, but I was dozing. I had been dozing. I was trying to study or whatever, but um, I had been dozing off, so I would like doze off and wake up, doze off and wake up and work, and doze off and wake up, and then I just fell asleep. So I was comfortably resting, and then I got woken up. But yeah, so comfortably dozing. So it's the context clues, right? So then we're gonna look it up. We're like, all right, well, what does dozing mean? Dozing, and I wouldn't even say off. I wouldn't even say off. Let's just look up dozing. Sleep lightly. Okay, I just learned. So dozing off means, I think it means like what I was saying. You're passing out, but you're like maybe you have a lot of energy and you can't fall asleep, so you're trying to doze off. You're trying to go to sleep, so you keep waking up because you're rustling around in your bed or whatnot. Um, but the word dozing, the actual word dozing, means to sleep. Oh, and here it is, to doze off. So sleep lightly, cat nap, nap, drowse, sleep, rest. So it literally means doze, to sleep. But I dozed off, fall asleep, go to sleep, drop off. Yeah. So there it is. Interesting. So yeah. So the analysis I think was right on. So comfortably dozing. So I just learned that dozing doesn't mean like trying to fall asleep, but you keep waking up and trying to fall asleep. But it means sleeping. It literally means asleep, a nap, etc. Okay, all right. And I'm a word, I definitely, but even though I think I know a word, if I don't know exactly what it means, I look it up and I think about it, and so I highly recommend that. And just looking at the context clues, right? Comfortably dozing. Once you realize you're comfortably dozing, you know, oh, comfortably sleeping, like relaxed. Because if you're sleeping, unless something interrupts you or you wake yourself up, you're comfortable. You're not changing that state or condition. So yeah, so the context clues would make me think that dozing means actually sleeping, resting. Um, all right, and was comfortably dozing after her fatigue. So she's obviously tired because she has been, you know, plugging away that day the whole time. Never for a moment, the tortoise, she, never for a moment stopped. Slow but steady wins the race. And of course, from a business perspective, from a work perspective, from a lot of different perspectives, this is really important because it reminds you that no one has more than 24 hours. Um, so if you outwork your competitor, in the business world, or if you work really really hard and and plug away, academics or business or fill in the blank, you know, um, then it's generally going to be a plus, and generally, even if you're slow. And I always encourage this, to students as well. Even students who might not be good at a particular subject. You might love science but think it's really hard and be like, or anything else, even reading. You know, I have I've like lessons from time to time with students, and a lot of some of these young students, they compare themselves. Like, oh well, my older brother is so great at math, and he's doing this and that, and so then they're intimidated. And it's like, okay, well, if you outwork this person, well, like, I wouldn't want a sibling, a sister, a brother, etc., or a person to feel that intimidated from and compare themselves to to someone else, because uh you know you don't know that person's situation. You don't know if that person's just like is gonna stop studying hard, or is gonna stop working hard, or is gonna lose their like, just don't worry about that. It's I hate using the word passion, but it's when it comes to learning, it's really, I would much rather be this lady, this girl, the tortoise, than be this hare, because even though you have a lot of talent, and they say it a lot too. I mean, you see it in sports, right? At the highest levels, the NBA, and just any sport, soccer, football. There's so much talent. There's some people that are ridiculously talented, but they don't make it. They don't go win championships, and develop themselves as leaders and as successes, and maybe they don't even last that long in that particular league, because they don't work hard. So I'm telling you guys, it seems trite, but hard work is its own reward. It really is, and it's better to like plod away and plug away and inch by inch, to learn something new, to read, to grow, um, as opposed to being a tortoise who, or as opposed to being a hare who might have all the talent in the world, all the natural talent in the world, may, perhaps somebody's, 6'10", and they like basketball, but they, whether, I mean, I don't want to mention that as an example, but I like basketball. I've liked it, ever since I was a kid. But so just a classic example. But if that person doesn't work hard, and then you've got someone who's much shorter, 5'10" or something, that just works like an animal, as I say, like, who do you think is going to get better at basketball? The fundamental skills, dribbling, passing, speed, especially speed, stamina. It's like, if you don't have stamina, I think that's a lot of it is stamina, and the ability to perform under pressure. And it's just practice. I mean, these people that perform at the highest levels, the reason why I think we talk about sports is because that's like a microcosm of life, you know, um, and it's like a metaphor, essentially, like, even as this is their real life, this is their real story in terms of them going to work every day. This is their job, their responsibility to try to win games, and to try to navigate their careers amidst that environment, of trades and all of that. Um, so yeah, the hare and the tortoise, the classic text. It's interesting though. It's 3.5 lines, but really just trying to nitpick, not nitpick, trying to unpack, the meanings of these words and the phrases, and really trying to paint a picture. So as the reader, I try to understand the picture of what's happening. And if it's not super, super clear, like, I'm not sure if the hare was in the lead before he took a nap. Um, if I was guessing, when it said lying down by the wayside, I would look back up at the text and say, okay, is the course going to be heading down? Or is there ever a point in the story where Aesop shows that the course is going down, where they're like running down a hill, and that it wasn't clear. Like, we don't know if they're going up a hill or down a hill. So the fact that he's lying down by the wayside, um, you know, like, we don't know if he ran ahead and then just decided to take a nap because he got complacent, or that he didn't even run. He's just like, I'm gonna take a nap because I'll catch up before, I'll catch up when I wake up. before this tortoise because I'm so much faster. So the other thing is to not get complacent, to not get arrogant. In the business world and life, just in general, if you want to get really good at something, it's better that you are slow and steady rather than these really, really intermittent bursts. I mean, it's one thing if that's your personality. If you have these bursts, then you want to have as many bursts as you can. You don't want to like lean on that talent, lean on those bursts, and say, okay, I'm gonna only have one burst a month of output. If Stephen King, for example, he says if you want to be a professional writer, he wrote a book called On Writing, and his thesis of the book was you got to write for 4 hours a day. That was his thesis. He's like, I don't care how old you are, who you are, what gender you are. He didn't care. It's like 4 hours a day. He's like, and then he was talking about how like, yeah, I know, you like listening to different types of music, but I'll tell you, he goes, listening to the same song for the thousandth time or the 10,000th time, like, is that going to get you success as a writer? No, no. Like, listen to a book. Listen to a book on CD or online or what. I mean, like audible.com. I mean, there's a lot of books you can listen to, um, etc. So to learn, basically, to study, to be a consistent, diligent studier. So depending on your goal, it's better to be slow and steady because that will win the race. Anyways, the hare and the tortoise, the classic Aesop fable, and thank you guys very much. Slow but steady wins the race.